Unpacking Mormonism and Other Religious Trauma is meant for educational purposes only. Hello, everybody, and welcome back for another episode of Unpacking Mormonism and Other Religious Trauma. We are your hosts, Sarah and Mason Westbrook. Two pieces of I Shit You Not, and we only got through one of them, and so today we are back to talk about the other one. So Mason,
You must have been really long-winded last
I know, I usually am really long-winded, so surprise.
Might have been both of us a little bit.
Yeah. All right, so why don't you introduce what we're talking about, since this one was yours?
Was this one mine? I'm pretty sure you gave this to me.
I gave it to him.
Yeah.
And he has come unprepared today.
Ouch.
All right, go ahead.
So one of the things that we want to talk about was just the silencing of opinions. There was a post on Facebook. Somebody posted something, I think, about temple clothes or dress,
Right,
temple
so-
ceremony or something.
Yeah, and I'm going to pause you really quick because you can't say anything without me
Right, I don't know
interrupting.
why
5
you don't
seconds
just
in.
go ahead and get started.
Right. So this was on somebody else's Facebook feed. So on this, we have deleted any identifying information about the original poster and everything because we wanted to make sure that we protected privacy and whatnot. So when you see these slides, you can't tell who it was. But yeah, somebody in the ex-Mormon community had posted something about garments. They had shared their opinion. And I don't have that original post because there's no way for me to have pulled it up without.
It's also not what we're here to talk about. So
Right.
the post itself isn't as important as the kind of response that
Right.
it got.
All right, go ahead, Mason.
So Alex, why don't you just go ahead and pull up the first one? And I'll read it for those of you that are just listening. It says, I just wanted to reach out to you about your Facebook post on temple garments. That was very disappointing and distasteful. I would be careful about what you say. Please stop.
Now, I'm going to pause you before we go any further. What really stands out to me about this is the shaming. Like, I saw you, I wanted to reach out about your post, and then it's for the person who read this, disappointing and distasteful. This is that kind of passive aggressive thing. Like, there's that, little sprinkle of shame. Your post was disappointing and distasteful. For those who are listening that are not familiar with Mormonism, the temple garment is your underwear. So we're talking about, underwear. And then we've got kind of this like warning. I would be careful about what you say. Please stop.
And then the next one.
Not everyone sees.
Not everyone agrees or feels the same way you do about the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Everyone is entitled to have their own opinions, but some are better left unsaid.
Right.
So take a moment with that, right? We're going to talk a little bit. I have some ideas just about opinions in general, but just the idea that because everyone doesn't feel the same way, maybe you shouldn't say it is. So let me just jump right into that. I have this thought. This is just my opinion, so take it for what it's worth.
Hey,
but I was thinking
your opinions
about,
are better left unsaid.
Yeah, sometimes.
Shh.
So,
we need our old lady. The shh. See, I love this. Shh, Grandma. Okay, go ahead.
So I was thinking about what in our society, because we're talking about church, we're talking about high demand religions, things like that. But what in our society has kind of led to this idea that you can't share an opinion? And what I think that it is that in general, I feel like people don't take opinions as ideas anymore. They take them as either true or false. And I think that what's really...
Many people, not all people.
I didn't say all people, but I said a lot of people in our society are, I feel like as I watch the news, as I hear people talk, because I don't think this is the regular person problem, but I think in the overall experience with the rest of the world, but in the United States, the overarching culture is becoming your opinions. They're weighing them as if they're fact or fiction, rather than weighing them as, okay, this is an idea about something. Let's discuss this. Let's talk about it. Why do you feel that way? What, blah, blah, blah. An opinion, it used to be, hey, this is my opinion. Let's talk about this. Let's discuss this. Explain to me why you think I'm correct or I'm incorrect. But now it's like this battle And I think that, and again, my opinion, I think that really what caused this decline is 24/7 news with ratings.
So maybe.
And I don't really want to go into that
Right.
part because that's not what we're talking about. But that's kind of my idea is that we can't just have opinions anymore. Everybody wants to weigh them as their fact or fiction.
Well, I'm going to push back against that a little bit.
Okay.
Okay. Correlation is not causation. And so that's something that we have to be really cautious of when we are talking about these things. Correlation is not causation. It does appear that way. Maybe it was always that way.
Sure.
And we're just more aware of it now. Like we don't know.
Absolutely.
But
Facebook didn't exist 20 years ago, right? So we didn't see very many
right.
outside opinions.
MySpace did though, so I mean.
But the point being, you didn't get a whole lot of opinions out of it.
Sorry, I just kicked you. I didn't mean to. I apologize.
Good. I just wanted to make sure it wasn't a kick off.
No, that was an MS. That was an MS jerk. I'm sorry, I did not mean to kick you. I just kicked him, guys, like under the.
The world is smaller in a lot of ways, and you hear opinions from a lot more places than you might have growing up.
What my observations are, and again, I want to voice this as also this is opinion. I'm not going to state this as fact, but what I'm seeing is it's more of a systemic problem, meaning the systems have become very what we call black and white thinking. And we see this, a lot in fundamental religions, high demand religions, but we also see it in politics, government. It's everywhere. And really what it is that flexibility of thinking. And I think that when a human feels safe, opposing opinions are more welcomed and treated and processed and discussed as an opportunity for learning with that level of curiosity that, if I feel safe in this room right now with you, Mason, and you have an opinion that's different than mine, I'm going to feel comfortable discussing it and maybe even open my mind to shifting my perceptions based on your opinion that was different. And I think that one of the challenges in society today is that many people look at a difference of opinion as a personal threat. Mm-hmm. So you don't agree with me, therefore that's threatening, and my survival brain kicks in and I start to respond with a lot of defensiveness, with a lot of criticism, a lot of contempt. So you can see that, that shaming from that post, that little contempt, some opinions are better left unsaid. And I'm going to say, what's the causation of that? Why would somebody say that? And for me, it's about a level of comfort. It's your post about Mormon underwear made me uncomfortable. Your saying your opinion made me uncomfortable. And I've been taught, if we're talking about Mormonism and our experiential expertise in Mormonism, an opinion outside of the norm is bad, evil, wrong, influenced by Satan. We don't want that. It's you're welcome to ask questions, but the answers have to come back to what we are already teaching. We talk about that circular reasoning. It always has to come back to what we've already stated is factual truth. And so now I'm on the outside. I say an opinion that goes against that religious teaching about something that is considered very sacred. And so that makes me uncomfortable. And rather than, I think the accountability piece is missing from here, as in the person who's telling this other person. So I know the other person. I know the original poster who said something about garments. I know this person to be very tactful, very, what's the word I'm looking for about this individual? She's very cautious in stating her thoughts in a diplomatic, polite way. There's not meaning any disrespect. Like her intention is genuine in I want to educate, I want to advocate, and she does a very good job of it, much better than me at being tactful and tasteful. I'm just going to bulldoze you down. I'm not passive aggressive. I'm just aggressive. I can be very aggressive and sarcastic, which is very contemptuous on my part. But this individual who posted about the garments, that's not her personality at all. But the accountability is I'm feeling uncomfortable by your statement. Who has the accountability to fix things so that I'm comfortable again? And it's definitely not you.
It's you.
It's me. If I'm the one
If I'm
experiencing, right, if I'm experiencing an, an uncomfortable emotion or an uncomfortable feeling about something somebody else said, it is not my job to say, you need to fix what you say so I feel more comfortable. Rather, it's, this makes me uncomfortable. What do I need to do about that?
Well,
And
and why?
And silencing somebody else is not the answer. If I'm uncomfortable for any reason, it is not my job to silence the person who made me uncomfortable. Not at all. That's not how boundaries work. Boundaries require the other person. If I have a boundary, it requires the other person to do absolutely nothing. And it requires me to do everything. Because boundaries are about me protecting me. So, anyway, go ahead.
Like a couple thoughts there. The other thing that I would ask is why? You know, why am I feeling uncomfortable? What is it about this situation? And the thought that came to mind for me, and maybe you can relate to this on a professional level.
Are you talking about me?
No, just the viewer in general.
Okay.
On a professional level, I do anesthesia. If I have a question about how I think things should work, or you know, I'm seeing a patient and there's some concerns, and I want to make sure I'm doing the best that I can for that patient. Most of the time, I can figure that out completely on my own. But every once in a while, you know, it's good to just talk to other colleagues and stuff, and I can come to them and say, "Hey, what do you think about this?" And they can share their opinion, oftentimes different than what I would have thought doing, which is why I'm asking. And it's not an affront to me. It's not them saying, "Well, holy hell, Mason,
Right.
why
Where
did
did you go to school?
Yeah, why
Mason?
didn't you think about
suck at
this?"
Anesthesia.
Even if it's something that it should be like right on the top of my head, they'd be like, "What did you thought about?" I was like, "Holy crap, I didn't even think about that," and that's so obvious. It's not an attack on me. It's,
or on your character.
or on my character, or on my ability to do anesthesia as my profession as a professional. It's not like that. And it's because I'm seeking for understanding. They're seeking for understanding. They're trying to help out in the situation. And I think what happens on these more difficult things like politics and religion, I feel like there's become a lot less understanding about things. Like if someone were to come to me and say, "Hey, what do you think about the ruling that the SCOTUS just put out on abortion?" Well, first off, a lot of people would be like, "Wait a second, who's SCOTUS?"
That's actually what I thought in my head.
Supreme Court of the United States of America, SCOTUS. Okay.
Cool.
So the first thing is,
why can't you just say the Supreme Court?
You could, but I did that on purpose. I did that on purpose because if you watch,
you're not allowed to say SCOTUS anymore. It has to be Supreme Court because I don't know what you're talking about unless you say Supreme Court.
Right.
So you need to change your vocabulary.
Instead of having a conversation about the ruling, that is what we came about, we're arguing about the words that I used.
Ooh. Oh, I bet that never happens in marriages ever.
No, or with children or anything, right?
Never.
So
that sarcastic Sarah just.
But that's the, and I don't want to use the term ignorance, but we've become less educated about a lot of things.
I think we've become less curious.
Or maybe that too.
Because I think, I'm sorry, I totally interrupted you, but I did because I think that in a way we're insulting our audience.
Information is better than mine?
No, I think we're insulting our audience or insulting humanity as being stupid, and we're not stupid.
Let me clarify. That's not what I said.
Can I no,
yes.
Let me finish. And y'all, okay, let me caveat with this. I'm taking narcotic pain meds right now because I had surgery. I had a carpal tunnel. You can barely see it on the camera here because I have skin colored band-aids, but like my hands hurt. So I'm a little bit on narcotics. If I seem a little off, I apologize. That tramadol is good stuff though, let me tell you right now. Wow. Do not prescribe that to me again unless I have another surgery because yeah. Anyway, I don't think that humanity has become more ignorant. I think we've become less curious. And I think the vocabulary words there, the reason that I interrupted you in bringing that up is because curiosity is what leads to learning. And learning usually requires some level of discomfort. And so I think the challenge is that we're not as comfortable being uncomfortable for the intent of learning and expanding our perception.
I think because when we feel like we don't know something, there's a lot of push to make it feel like we're ignorant. But so I use
what do you mean by that? I don't understand.
Meaning that it's not okay for us to have a conversation and you just be learning or me just learning.
Okay.
You have to already know some of this. Otherwise, why are we even talking about this? Right?
Okay.
How can we have a conversation?
Did you just kill a bug?
An ant, yeah.
Huh.
How can we have a conversation about the Constitution of the United States if you don't even know what the First Amendment is? That kind of thing we get very...
Shaming.
We get very arrogant about it. But I use the word...
When I say contempt, what I mean is, like, so what did you just say again? How could we even talk about the Constitution if you don't even know what the First Amendment is?
Right.
Right. We've got that. Yeah, arrogance. We've got that. If you don't understand this, I'm better than you.
Yes.
So we tend to be, but again, humanity has always been this way. I'm going to pause really quickly. Hey, Alex, just so that you are aware, we can't see the chats. So if something's going on in the chat room or a question comes up from a member of our audience, I'm not seeing it for some reason on this device, and I'm afraid to hit the button because the last time I hit the button, we lost like the whole screen. And so if you're wanting to say something, Alex, I'm going to totally trust you to throw those questions, comments up on the screen. And then if I'm looking at my phone, it's because our producer is texting us. I got to figure out the chat feature on this new device. Keep going.
So I said a word that I said I really don't want to use this word, which was ignorance. And I think it's because it's become a put down to say that you're ignorant. But let me read the definition of ignorance. The state or fact of being ignorant, lack of knowledge, education, or awareness. All we're saying by the word ignorant is that you don't know what... You don't know about this particular thing, what...
Okay, so I would say, when you say ignorant, I was latching on to like the lack of knowledge and education. And I would say that we have access to more information now than we ever have in the past. But I absolutely love the idea of ignorance being the lack of awareness, because I think that really falls in line with what you're trying to say. And I think that that's where I was misunderstanding your vocabulary. So that makes more sense to me. And I appreciate that. And I agree with you.
Let's take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
Despite the unshakable Iowa Corn-Cyhawk rivalry, there is one thing Iowa State and University of Iowa fans can both agree on: getting hyped for Unleaded 88. It's cleaner burning and better for your engine, and it's cheaper than other fuel options, making Unleaded 88 the clear fuel choice. If Iowa Corn-Cyhawk rivals can agree on it, you know it's worth the hype. So pump it up with Unleaded 88, grown by Iowa corn farmers.
The mighty and resilient Merrimack River, carving through the communities of our great region. My name is Linda Lorden, proud president of Merrimack County Savings Bank. And like the river that serves as our namesake, we're a constant yet ever-changing presence. Because to us, it's bigger than banking. It's about powering communities and putting people first. It's about knowing where you came from and where you're going. That's Merrimack style. Visit us at themerrimack.com.
Well, let me just go on to the next part of that.
By the way, this is what we want conversations to look like. Keep going.
What I mean by that is, say for instance, and again, we don't know what this person posted about the garment, okay? But they post something about the garment that this other person doesn't understand or know about the garment. Say they posted something about the history of the garment.
No, I think it was, since I've no longer worn the garment, I have healthier, like, we're going to go up to a PG-13 rating. Better vaginal health, more comfort. I'm not overly focused on this. I'm less judgmental. Like, it wasn't like, oh my gosh, the garment is disgusting. How would anybody wear it? I think it was, if I remember correctly, and don't quote me on this, she was basically saying, I feel more comfortable in my own skin because I don't wear it. And I'm very happy that I did not, force, as a Mormon, as an Orthodox Mormon mother, I would have put a lot of pressure on my children to dress in this way. And then here's our family picture, all of us dressed in a way that makes us really comfortable, all of them in completely different fashion, completely different everything. And how grateful she was that she wasn't pushing the garment onto her posterity so that they could just feel comfortable in their own skin, because she had experienced a great deal of discomfort, a great deal of pressure to be somebody that she wasn't, because of the restrictions that the Mormon garment puts on you. So that's what the conversation was.
So I'm going to take it as if that was the case.
Okay.
Because I don't know.
Because I'm
that was
right,
the case,
and that's what we're going to do.
well, and ultimately, like I said at the beginning, it doesn't necessarily matter what it was that she said, but now that you've said this is what she said, I'll go with that. So she says all of that, and then somebody gets on her about her opinion about the garment. Well, what I feel like is happening is the person that is making the response is not allowing for any understanding of where the poster is now.
Right.
And because they're not allowing any understanding for that, they're making judgments and comments that aren't related to what the other person is trying to say in the first place.
Right. Well, and we have to be careful with putting intent into somebody's words when we can't then go to that person and check in with their intent.
Sure. And I didn't mean to put an intent in that.
Oh, and I don't feel that you did. I'm just saying that out loud. What, Alex, could you please pull up and maybe put those, Alex, I don't know if you can put those side by side so we can see them side by side. We'll let Alex play with that. So, I wanted to reach out. That's very disappointing and distasteful. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were done. I apologize. Okay. Go ahead and hold that thought, Alex. I apologize, Mason. I'm always bad at interrupting. Put me on narcotics, and my filter is, yeah.
You can take that.
I'm a druggie
for the moment, Alex.
I'm a druggie today.
So what's going on is, instead of the replier being curious about what's changed in that person's life, being curious about how that change has affected this person, they've taken it instead, or it feels like they've taken it instead, as affront on the garment.
And the church.
Which means they've also taken it as an affront on the temple, which means they've also taken it as an affront on the church. Instead of being curious, like you said, instead of seeking for more information about where this person is, they're making a judgment because it appears they feel like they have been attacked. Well, that is what the church has taught people to feel. Anytime something comes, don't interrupt.
I'm bursting at the seams. My brain. Go ahead.
It feels like
the audience.
The church is taught, and this isn't exclusive to Mormonism, but the high demand religions, in this case, we're talking about Mormonism. The church has taught us that anything that is in any way perceived as negative about the church is anti-Mormon. It's literature that we need to stay away from. It's conversations we need to avoid. You go to a couple examples. Elder Uchtdorf, years and years ago, said, doubt your doubts. It's almost like he's saying, let's not talk about these things. Mm-hmm. Jeffrey R. Holland said, you hang on to what you believe first, and then the other stuff will go away. It's the
persecutory complex.
It's the persecution complex.
If somebody is claiming anything outside of what the prophets have proclaimed as absolute truth, Satan is involved.
Right.
And they're persecuting you.
It's all to lead
And
to
so,
hating.
right. So in this case, the original poster, because she had a different opinion about the magical Mormon underwear,
Right.
and how not wearing the magical Mormon underwear has been a positive thing for her family. Now you see the responder with disappointing. She used two D words that I don't remember.
Disappointing and put it up there, please, Alex. And distasteful.
Disappointing, distasteful. Be careful with what you say.
Right.
Not everyone agrees with you. And then Alex, can you put the second one up? Not everybody agrees with you, especially, so not everyone agrees with you or feels the same way about the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
Right. Everyone can have their own opinions, but I don't want to hear it.
Right. But so you can have your own opinion about the church, but don't share it with anybody.
Right.
Like some things are better left unsaid.
Obviously, Satan's involved in your statement.
And that's very much, right. That's very much something that was taught to me, at least growing up.
Example of that before we move on.
Right. Yeah. Go ahead.
Last one is the infamous, I was a youth based with down and Russell Ballard, where in that speech, in the beginning of it, they say there's also going to be some questions we don't have really answers for. Those will be the ones that we avoid. How can you say something like that as an apostle and not be teaching people that there's some things we don't want to talk about?
Well, and
they make us uncomfortable, so we're not going to talk about it.
But see, I think that's okay to say, but you have to quantify it. As in, we also had a lot of questions about our personal life. We're not going to answer those because that's not our purpose meeting here today.
Right.
But any question about the gospel, about the church, about our history, we're going to do our best to be an open book. And that's
it just gives them carte blanche to ignore whatever they want to ignore.
Right.
Which then translates to the members. Everyone who saw that, who had any question about that, thought, oh, you know what? It's okay for me to ignore these questions. It's okay for me to not worry about them. Instead of getting curious and saying, wow, I didn't realize that the garment was ever even uncomfortable for somebody. That must be really liberating for you. Whatever, like some empathy, some understanding. That doesn't mean I'm like suddenly thinking, oh, I should take my garments off. I can totally hold my covenants, my garments, whatever you want, and still hold space for someone who doesn't believe that way anymore.
Right. Well, and I want to come back to that, but first I just want to say thanks, Jesse, so much for your heart of our show. I really appreciate it. And a long time no see.
Yeah.
We need to like get together for coffee again or something. It's lovely having you on our show today, Jesse. So I remember, so this would have been right after I got my first tattoo. So this was my first tattoo, except that my first tattoo only had the outline of this heart, the infinity sign, and a little flower on the inside. And I went to my friend, the one that we actually talked about a few weeks ago, where they said the friendship had shifted and it was only transactional.
Right.
And I had to kind of chuckle because she had told her children that I had made a mistake. But I was wearing shorts, and I actually wore these shorts on purpose. I was wearing these shorts. Oh, you can't see them. Hang on. Mason, hold my leg up.
No.
Woo! These are the shorts I was wearing at her home. Woo! Look at my leg. It's not shaved, guys.
It's a PG, maybe PG.
No, I already made it 13. We're good. I didn't. Dude, you're not going to see almost my boobs here. That's PG-13. All right. So these shorts would be considered too short for Mormonism. But I was wearing these, and I think I was wearing a short sleeve shirt, but it may have been like shorter, almost sleeveless, but still the thicker one. And I remember overhearing the conversation of Sister Westbrook, because in Mormonism we don't somebody gave me a like. I'm assuming that thumbs up, I don't know if that was from us or from an audience, but I think it's because they like my legs. Do you want to see them again?
There's a lot to like.
Woo, legs! Tattoo number 2, by the way. So anyway, but I overheard her tell her children that Sister Westbrook was struggling, that she had lost her way, and that because my shoulders were showing and my shorts were shorter, that they needed to be very careful. They needed to love me, but to also know that I was probably under the influence of, or that Jesus didn't have as much empowerment over me or whatever. Like there was this one. She didn't say like Satan has control of Sister Westbrook. She was a lot more tactful than that. And I remember kind of chuckling. Yeah, go ahead.
It feels like there's a lot of fear from the membership for those things. And what's ironic is it's the New Testament that says, and the truth shall make you free. There's a lot of fear going on there. They don't feel like they can. And I was there.
This is terrifying. Do you see this?
It's not the shoulder that's terrifying.
Oh, is it the knee?
It's the why.
Okay.
Why are you showing your shoulder? What is going on in your life that makes you think it's okay now to show your shoulder? To
Can
make you think that you're okay? No, not yet. To make you think that it's okay to have tattoos. That's what the membership is afraid of. And so there is no investigation. There is no curiosity. And I don't, that sounds very absolute. I don't mean that by everybody, but it feels like for the most part, no curiosity, no
that
seeking
fear
understanding.
Stops you from being curious.
No going to you and sitting down with you, like Brene Brown says, sitting down with you where you are and saying, hey, what's going on? This is completely different for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's talk. Because there's a fear that Satan's going to get them too. And the church has built that fear, and not just Mormonism, the church in general, churches in general, any church that teaches about a negative power as well, they've created that fear for their own reasons. And of course, we've talked about that, can go farther into it, but they've created that fear to keep you away from those conversations.
Yes. So it was Corrine Christian who liked my legs, by the way. So thank you, Corrine, for joining us.
Should I be jealous?
Today, yes. Corrine gave a thumbs up just as my leg was coming down. So
wait, was it a thumbs up because the leg was coming down or because it had been up?
I'm offended by that. Just teasing. So I would like to answer Mason's original question of, they're afraid of why would Sister Westbrook be showing her shoulders and having shorts too short. We live in central Missouri. It was late July, so it was probably around 90 degrees. Yeah, like 90 degrees and probably 60 to 80% humidity. So that's why. The tattoo was a memorial tattoo. The first one was a memorial tattoo that I had experienced deep grief from the loss of Daisy, my dog, Daisy Girl Communications.
We were separated at the time.
We were separated because of the Army.
The kids.
Yeah, it was a rough time.
And for just as a side note, for heat injuries, for those of you that don't know, when you have a significant heat injury, your body never really goes back to baseline. You'll always struggle more. In this case, you had heat stroke, which is the most.
Right, I had heat stroke. Oh goodness, and 4 years previous.
You will
to that.
never. Your body never goes back completely. Mm-hmm. So you were already struggling. You were already struggling and always had a little bit with the garment and just the extra clothing and stuff. And so now you've added on the heat injury. Now you're in Missouri where it's hot and humid. It makes sense that you would be struggling with that and even more than you did, but that doesn't matter.
Right. Well, and with people with MS, one of our symptoms is temperature regulation is very difficult. So whether that's hot or cold temperature regulation, it's very difficult. So,
right.
All right. So let's talk about this because I do agree with the statement. Some things are better left unsaid. So when is it okay? Because in this case,
don't ever tell her whether or not she looks good or bad in those clothes. Does this shorts make my butt look big? I can answer that question.
I disagree.
I know.
Thank you.
It's the cliche thing, right? Like, oh, I'm not answering that.
Well,
no way.
And really it comes down to the intent. Why are you not saying something? So I would say in this case, what it appears to me is the original poster said something that made the responder uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. So the responder says, don't say things because that helps her level of comfort return to baseline. My assumption is that she advocated for the church. She gets that dopamine rush of, I did my duty the way that God would want me to.
Right? The spirit
I'm feeling the spirit. Right. That's called confirmation bias. I'm feeling the spirit that what I did was a good thing. And oh my gosh, that person did not take my suggestion very well because they're influenced by Satan, and
Yeah.
I just need to separate myself. Okay.
Yep.
Not a good thing.
It
If
almost
I'm
gives you the
saying,
closure you're maybe looking for.
right, if I'm telling somebody else, you need to stop saying certain things so that I feel better, then I'm not working from a place of emotional maturity or mental wellness.
Right.
Okay. Whereas if you're in a situation, I'm going to use my own life. I don't talk to my dad at all anymore. And he has said and done some really stupid, hurtful things. And I'm going to tell you right now, I have a response ready to go for all of them. And if you've been watching our show for a while, you know that I have a really hard time keeping my mouth shut. Oh shit, that hurt. I playfully slapped him, and don't tell Dr.
Serves you right.
Hofer I just did that. Okay.
For more details,
Read the book.
read the book.
Read the book for more details.
Yeah, go on.
There are many things that I feel are better left unsaid from myself. Like, I'm governing myself and when and what I should say in what environment and to what human beings.
Yeah, you're gonna.
For
find-
me,
you're still going.
yeah, I've got one more sentence and I'll let you speak. Silence. Wait, where's that old lady? Shh. I shit you not. Shh. Shh. She's the cutest little old lady ever. Like, I want to look like her when I grow up. Okay. I'm serious. She's super cute. Okay, so anyway, in my book, or I'm sorry, in my life, I'm choosing that some things are better left unsaid because I know that my father will not hear it in the way that I desire for him to hear it, that it will not result in a productive outcome,
Right.
and that all it does is frustrate the fuck out of me to the point where I'm no
rated
longer, now we're R, no, only one F word. If I do one more, then
good
it's
point.
R.
Good point.
Fuck. Now it's R. There we go. But because I'm not going to get out of that conversation anything that is healthy for anybody. I am choosing those things in my mouth right at the tip of my tongue are better left unsaid because I get hurt, he gets hurt, my kids get hurt, you get hurt. And instead what I do is I say, Mason, this is what I would like to say to my father. And Mason's like, yeah. And then I feel better because I'm being validated by somebody, but I'm not saying it to the person where the outcome is going to be negative. And I know with almost certainty that it's going to be a negative outcome because it always has been. Read the book. All right.
Right. And a lot of that would just come down to then thinking about before you say it, what is it I'm trying to accomplish? Because, we can think of occasions with teenagers or with kids or with friends or with parents where siblings where if you take the time to think about it, you can recognize if I say this, I'm not going to get the outcome that I want. So then I have to decide, am I okay saying it, recognizing I'm not going to get the outcome I want? Or do I want to just hold back because I know it's not going to accomplish what I'm trying to accomplish? Do I want the fight? Do I not want the fight? Do I want the argument? Do I not want the arguments? And so on.
And then, what am I gaining? How does this serve me?
Right.
Because sometimes you're going to need to say something where the outcome is not going to, where the outcome is not going to be what you want. Sometimes you still feel that. But please note that what I'm talking about is self-regulation.
Right. I'm deciding what.
Right. I'm not saying, Mason, you're not allowed to go say that to my father, which I have said that to him before, by the way. I'm not perfect. But in this case, I'm not saying, Mason, some things are better left unsaid. You need to not. I would say, hey, Mason, if you feel like that's appropriate to say to my dad, okay, I'm a little concerned that it won't get you what you want, but you get to be in charge of making that decision, right? In this case, the responder could say, hey, I'm feeling really saddened by your post. I would love to talk with you to understand better where you're at. I'm concerned that maybe you're saying some things that seem outside of your personality, and I'm wondering if you're okay. Right?
Exactly.
where you're
Now we're
extending a hand
seeking for
of
understanding.
curiosity,
Yep.
of understanding.
Yep.
But anytime we are trying to silence somebody else because what they are saying makes us uncomfortable, it's just not appropriate unless
It
you're
needs to
in
be
a
an internal check.
right, unless you're in like the courtroom and you're saying things because of evidence. And I mean, there are going to be exceptions to the rules, but for the most part, telling somebody else, look, your statement, other people don't agree with you. Okay? They don't
Which
agree
is
with
probably
you.
true for
Your
every
statement, your statement made me uncomfortable, and you should just shut up now. That's not appropriate.
You can buy Trauma Bonded, a true story of navigating attachments forged in complex PTSD by me anywhere books are sold, including Audible.
That and the I shit you not part of our show. I need my little shit bag here. Alex found me a really cute look. Isn't that the cutest little pile of shit ever? With googly eyes. I love it. I shit you not. What I learned in Mormonism is that I was only allowed to say the things that my religious community could accept, and that anything outside of that, I just needed to keep quiet about. And I obviously did not do well in that environment because I can't keep my mouth. I choose not to.
And I'm sure some people out there are thinking, well, yeah, that's not what I got taught. But I just want you to think about how many times there's been a real, honest to goodness, important disagreements or opposing opinions that were truly honestly discussed in gospel doctrine.
Or testimony bearing meeting. Like let's
Right.
look at this. What happens in testimony meeting if you get up and you say, I'm very concerned about the honesty of our prophet and leaders because I read the SEC letter, the SEC letter.
CES letter.
The SEC.
SEC letter, yeah.
The tax complaint. And in that they admitted to knowingly withholding those tax forms, and now they're saying something else. This has been a big blow to my testimony, and I've thought about it and I've prayed about it, and I think that as a ward we need to take a good honest look at this. Like, when can you say that?
Right,
in a
when did
meeting?
that happen?
When can you publicly disagree? Because what's going to happen, and we've seen this time and time again in the Mormon church, is the bishop is supposed to, and it says it right in the handbook. Okay, he used to have that handbook, to turn off the microphone and escort them from the podium. If they're saying things that do not fall in line with their teachings, you are to, and I shit you not, turn off the microphone, escort them from the podium, and if they will not go, call the police.
Yep.
That is what they're
If
supposed to do.
that is not a testament to the fact that opinions are silenced in the church.
In the Mormon church.
I don't know that anything is.
I'm sorry, in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I don't want Satan to have any victories today.
Yeah.
Mormon. Fuck.
Well, and just for us, it's about recognizing what's going on. Like if you're an active member listening to this and you want to stay on the church, that's fine. Like, we don't have any issues with that. But it might serve you really well to recognize that there are things going on that you're not aware of because you've never thought about them.
And because they're not allowed in.
Because I was there.
Right.
And most of us in the ex-Mormon community, we were there. We've all been there where we were hard charging, we didn't pay attention. We had the blinders on, right? We just paid attention to the stuff we're supposed to pay attention. No victories for Satan on the back, no wandering off the path. I'm staying right here on the straight and narrow path with a rod of iron right next to me. I'm not doing anything to vary from that until something finally, somebody picks up the baseball bat and hits you in the head and says, stop.
No, for you, it was drop me off at the Oklahoma airport.
That's a pretty big baseball bat.
We'll file for divorce and all.
And even then, Sarah wasn't asking me to
I never
accept
asked you
her
to
opinion.
leave. Yep, no.
She wasn't asking me to even acknowledge it as truth.
Nor did I ever ask you to be quiet. Never.
Right. was simply asking me to actually give credence to where she was, to actually pay attention to the information so that I could understand where you were. And of course, that understanding led me to where I am now too. So I understand why people are scared, but the problem is, what's the quote? If something is true, it will hold up to scrutiny. If something is not true, then it'll fall apart or it's scared or whatever. But if the truth claims of
You
the
did a
church,
terrible job.
yes, I did.
Whatever that was. But
yes, I did. But the idea being that if the truth claims of the church are in fact valid, then they'll hold up to scrutiny.
Absolutely.
And I think that everything that is out there in this community now demonstrates that that's just not the case. They don't hold up to the scrutiny because you make your own call about why not.
And they silence members who speak up with concerns, with valid concerns, and they terrify those within their organization of looking outside of their narrative. And because that is very culty.
Because they hold your salvation like your testicles. Like,
I don't have any testicles. Are they holding on to them like my ovaries?
Maybe so.
Maybe, okay.
But they're holding on to that iron grip because they control your salvation. And so they can tell you what to and not to do. And in this case, they tell you it as if God has told them that.
Mm-hmm.
But do a little investigation on that too. That doesn't hold up either. The things that they're saying God has said, at least some of them, and maybe many of them, they just don't hold up to it. It just doesn't hold up to scrutiny.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you have anything else you wanted to say before I close us out? He's thinking.
I think for me, the closeout for me would be find a way to be curious and understanding. And you can do that without giving up what you believe. You can do that you can stay an active member of whatever organization you want to be in and still hold a place for people who were hurt by that organization, who've decided they don't want to be a part of that organization. You can hold a place for that at the same time as holding strongly to what you believe. But we don't get taught that you can do that. So hold a place for opinions, be curious, seek to understand. And I think that if you can do that, you'll find a place where you're comfortable and the relationships you want in your life are also comfortable.
And healthy.
And healthy, yes. I mean healthy by comfortable as well. I don't want it to just be comfortable. You can have a healthy place for yourself and a healthy place for those relationships if you're truly seeking to understand somebody.
Yeah.
Not be convinced by, not even change your opinions, but just to understand where they are. I don't see any situation in which that is a bad thing.
Yeah. I'm sure there is one, but
and maybe there is.
Nothing's coming to my mind.
Maybe there is, but I don't see it. So.
I would say in closing, because we are trying to advocate here for our mental wellness and kind of talk about some of these hard things, is make sure you're aware of those times that you are inadvertently, so on accident, silencing somebody else's voice, because we all do it. I guarantee. I know all of this stuff is not good, and there are times that I'm going to accidentally silence somebody. And then I would say for yourself, so again, these are things only you have responsibility for you. So be aware of the times when you silence others, and then be aware of the times that you are being silenced. I think my favorite, most recent Disney song of all is from Aladdin, the new Aladdin with Will Smith as the genie, where Jasmine sings, "I won't be silenced." I can't sing that for you here because of copyright law, but I would definitely recommend, if you haven't seen the movie or it's been a while, go back and read those lyrics. I think that is a beautiful song. Speak out in the way that
ringtone for my daughter, by the way.
I know that is the ringtone for his daughter, because his daughter is just like his mother or her mother, and she won't shut up, just like me. And sometimes I'm like, oh my gosh, just shut up, and then I'm like, oh wait, she's just like you. Okay. So yeah, don't silence your teenage daughter. Okay. And then, what was I going to say is lastly, shit, I forgot. You derailed me. I do this to you all the time. Damn it.
That's why I don't do it to you as much. You tend to get a little more derailed than I do. So that's why
I didn't used
keep
to,
quiet.
but the MS is definitely
Yeah.
eating away at some of my cognitive
So for
functions.
those of you that wonder, if she's just running over me, the answer is sometimes maybe a little bit, but if frankly you're the one with the education about mental health and how all of this affects us, and for me that opinion is more valuable than the opinions I might share. And if I derail you, you have a harder time getting back to what you're thinking.
I would say that the number one reason I interrupt is because I'm afraid I'm going to lose my train of thought. But what I need to do is take notes, like I tell my clients, take notes.
Like I do.
Yeah, so that way you don't lose your train of thought. And I'm not doing that still, so I need to get better at that. But what I wanted to say is the original poster responded in a way that I deeply admired, which was, this is a demonstration of somebody utilizing shame and passive aggressiveness to try and silence me.
Nice.
And I have learned that my truth is okay, that I'm allowed to speak my truth, and that other people's level of comfort is their own responsibility. Now, this individual is a life coach. I was very like, you go, girl. And if she's watching this, hi, you know who you are, and you go, girl. Don't let others silence you. Your voice, your opinion has value, and find a community that values your opinion and your voice in healthy ways, but also challenges your voice and your opinion in healthy ways. And lastly, practice being uncomfortable and keeping your frontal cortex engaged, because you learn best in the discomfort zone. Like just think about when you were a little kid learning to read and do basic arithmetic. You would get frustrated by that homework, and as you gently persevered through that discomfort, you became more intelligent, more wise, more experienced. You want to embrace these skills throughout your lifetime.
So maybe not you learn best in the discomfort zone, but it pushes you to more learning. Like I don't learn best when I'm uncomfortable.
Right.
But if I can get uncomfortable and then find a place to move into comfort with that, then I learn like crazy, because
so there's no growth in the comfort zone, Mason.
Right.
But you don't want to be so uncomfortable that your brain is shutting down.
Right.
It's finding
That's
that
kinda right,
happy medium where you are exposing yourself and practicing staying engaged when you're uncomfortable. I remember as a counselor, I had to undo, and it took me a while as a counselor. Like I'm thinking back when I was first starting my career and I was learning all these things that the evidence was very clear that what I had been taught in my religious upbringing was not accurate. As far as LGBT marriage, and that the whole idea of that they shouldn't be married, that's sinful, and then coming out in counseling and being like, wait a minute, let me think about their experiences.
Right.
Let me put them. It was the empathy, learning how to actually view things from other people's perception. I didn't know how to do that in the beginning. It made me very uncomfortable. But if I was going to be successful in helping people heal, I had to be able to view things from their perception. And the only way to do that is to let go of my own ego and step into theirs. And that, it took me a lot of years. And as I've done that, I've become a much better person. I'm so proud of who I am now. And I'm excited about who I will become as I continue to practice that.
Thanks for
throughout the rest of my
I appreciate it.
lifetime. So yes, gentle discomfort in that the growth discomfort, growing pains.
Like moving through it instead of sometimes we hit that uncomfort and we back off and try and move around it or whatever. Moving through that uncomfort,
Right.
Really.
Well, especially if you've grown up in a high demand system.
Yeah.
Where any level of discomfort you're supposed to fight against because it must be wrong.
Yeah.
And very rarely is it wrong. We need to look at it from that more empathetic, curious.
Yeah.
How is this important and valued by other people?
Taking our power back. Oftentimes they'll give your power to somebody else. Like if you're going through trials, well, it's because God is giving you trials, or because Satan has power
working
over
on you. Right.
Instead of taking our own power and say, okay, I'm uncomfortable. Where do I go?
Right. I stopped believing in Satan before I stopped believing in the Mormon church.
Well,
I recognized that evil deity is.
That's obviously
used as a
why
tactic
you are
of
where
fear.
you are now.
I think there's actually a Mormon prophecy about that not believing in the devil is dangerous or something like that. Yeah. So I'm just fulfilling prophecy here. So anyway, thank you so much for joining us today. If you have any questions or comments or a topic that you would like for us to cover, email us at daisygirlcommunications@gmail.com. Check us out at our website, daisygirlcommunications.com. We're getting ready to update the website quite a bit with pictures of the farm animals and whatnot, so keep a lookout on that. If you would like to throw our show a couple of bucks, we utilize that money to help pay our production team a livable industry standard wage. Actually, a little bit better than industry standard is our goal. And if you are struggling with a mental health crisis, please call or text 988. They are there for you. We want you to choose life because it is beautiful, even in those moments where it feels like it's not. Love you so much, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.
Thanks for being here.